Hey guys, welcome to week 4. Real quick, I want to just explain how today went and what some of these things are in your Google Classroom. Okay, don't freak out that there's several things here. Just because there's several things doesn't mean they take very long. We're following up from last week with our scientific method and our engineering design process, and then we're trying out some of our newer resources. Okay, so this EduSmart is one of our digital resources that I wanted you to see if you could get into. Some people got in fine today and other people didn't, and it's nothing to do with you. You'll see on here where it says go to Launchpad, and then when you're in Launchpad there's a science folder, and you'll see EduSmart. It's like a little blue guy with an E for a head, because that's weird, and he's kind of got like a Hamilton pose going on. So log in there and see if you can see your assignment. It'll say scientific investigation and reasoning. Obviously, if people are having struggles logging in, I'm not going to hold everybody, super accountable for it. I just need to know if you can get in or not so that I can tell the people in charge of it to fix things. So if you cannot get in and see the assignment, I need you to contact me. You can send me a message on Google Classroom or send me an email. Or tomorrow, actually do that. Don't tell me during Zoom class, because just send me a message. Okay. But follow these instructions, but send me a message if you cannot access it, okay? But feel free to go through the things in there. They'll help you prepare, because the next time I see y'all, you will have a quiz. So A-Day kids will be on Friday, and the B-Day kids will be the following Monday. It'll be on for everything we've done so far in the Science Basics or Science Boot Camp unit. Okay, so look at your science notebook, and we'll do that in a second to make sure everything's there. These two, you may have looked at them last week in week 3, the scientific method graphic organizer and the engineering design process. They're here, and I'm going to show you where your rendition of them will go in your science notebook. See, it's a nice graphic, pretty color, and organization to help you conceptualize the scientific method, and maybe some words down here at the bottom that you were less familiar with. So you've got the scientific method, and then and see, notice these are materials, how it looks like a piece of paper with a bookmark. Those are materials, not assignments. Right, then you've got the engineering design process, which is what y'all's Brain Pops and EduSmart were over last week, so this should not be a new thing. But this graphic over the engineering design process that many scientists use now. Not everything is scientific method, it depends on what you're doing. Like, think about NASA sending people to Mars. They're not doing the scientific method. They are working through the engineering design process to solve the problem of how to get humans to Mars and then to be able to live there. Okay, so you can walk through the steps. Identify the constraints. Remember, those are basically what's holding you back. While NASA would like to have all the money in the world to do this project, they have a budget and a time frame that kind of holds them in. And then you brainstorm. Like, the wild and wacky is okay when you're brainstorming. Don't hold back because you think it sounds silly. It may be the most brilliant idea ever. And then look at your options. Pick what you think might be the solution, and you build your prototype. Remember, this is like the rough draft of your solution. The odds are, when you test it, it's not going to work the way you want it to. But you just don't throw it in a trash heap and I'm done, I'm horrible at this, I quit. That's not what we do. We look at it and go, what went wrong, and what are we going to fix to make it better? That's where you iterate, right? This word may be new for you. Maybe you've heard someone say something like, well, to reiterate, blah, 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 means to go over it again. Okay, so you're going to fix your prototype, and you're going to test it again. See the little arrows going in a clockwork motion? Actually, that's counterclockwise. But going around in a circle, you keep doing it until you get it right. And once you get it right, like air high five, good job, you're going to want the world to know. And then you communicate that solution. Okay? So like I said, this is everything that you covered last week in your Brain Pops and your Ed Puzzles. And this shouldn't be anything too terribly new. Okay? But what to do with those, let me sneak on down to my science notebook. Okay? So you can see it here. So in class today, we took our physical science notebooks and we kind of did the bare bones structure of those two graphics. Okay. And so we talked through it together, kind of like we just did with this video, but notice this is the bare bones. Yours should not be this plain. You should go back to those two graphics that I just showed you in classroom and add on. Add more of the words, draw pictures. This, going through and doing this well, is an effective way to help you study. Just staring at this is not studying. Okay, so go back over that graphic, add things into your science notebook. Same thing with the engineering design process. We just kind of sketched in some circles. You can go back in and draw in those pictures and add to your notes. Okay, add it so that it makes sense to you. Put it in your language. You should know the big words, but if you have to explain it to yourself on the side in 6th grade kid speak, that's okay. Okay, but this should be far more embellished than what you see here. Okay, so that was one of your primary things to do. But then to reinforce those and to practice, okay, some kids had previously done Quizlets, some had not, but you'll see there are 3 here. Okay, the qualitative and quantitative is just practice with those observations of whether it is qualitative or quantitative. And remember, you have notes in your science notebook, so feel free to flip to them. The Quizlet on scientific method. Well, let me open it up for you so you can see. These are kind of like flashcards. Okay, and you've got some options over here on the side. Flashcards is just literally flashcards. You can do the learn, like this kind of circly thing, the learn, but be careful with write and spell. They're very particular. Like, is it capitalized or not? Or if you have one letter wrong, it'll count it wrong if that it's spelled incorrectly. But your quiz is not a spelling quiz. Okay, we're going for conceptual. Like, you should know how to spell it because it's important. In science and medicine, the difference between an O and an E literally could kill someone. And we'll talk more about like chemical symbols when we get to chemistry, but you have to pay attention to those details. But this quiz coming up is not a spelling quiz. Okay, so I would stay away from the write and spell for this. We did a little bit of live in class, so it's a competition, which obviously you can't do on your own, but we'll do it again in the future. So if you missed it, fear not. But you can play the games of match and gravity. Okay, when you see match there, you're trying to get the fastest time. So right now it looks like the fastest time is 44 seconds. But you can play it at any time, but whoever uses the same link, you're trying to compete to be faster than the person who's number 1 right now. Okay, so you can play match, and then gravity is like it falls from the sky and you're trying to answer it before it hits the ground. Okay, so a little bit kind of like games to make it a little more fun to do those. Okay, so you have scientific method and the qualitative quantitative. Those both are things that are on Friday's quiz. Okay, so let me go back here. So both of these, scientific method and qualitative and quantitative, are relevant to Friday's quiz. This one for root words, we will play on and off throughout the year. This will have different word parts that you kind of picked up over time, just knowing the definitions of words, but knowing these word parts will make science words less intimidating or scary. They may still be hard to pronounce, but you will know what they mean. So it's based a lot in Greek and Latin. So like we talked about, if you speak more than one language, especially Spanish, Spanish is based in Latin, and therefore you will know a lot of these word parts if you're bilingual. So bonus. Right? So that one is there just to get us playing it and used to those root words. So we're paying attention to them as we go through in the content. Okay, but as far as your quiz on Friday, scientific method, qualitative and quantitative. Okay, but you still need to play the root words just so you can see what they are. Each of these in the instructions, you'll see that it tells you, look at the other one, to go through them at least 3 times because it only gives you a chunk of the words each time you play, like roughly a third. So you're going to want to play multiple times so you have exposure to all of them. All right, that was your assignment. So making your notes pretty for scientific method and engineering design process, right? And then playing these Quizlets. You also need to go on, yours looks different here, but the view your work and double check that you turn in things like your pen flip investigation, your measuring doodle notes, all of your ed puzzles. And that includes going in, if you did them in that puzzle, but like marking them as done in Google Classroom. Okay. As always, if you have questions, feel free to shoot me a message on Google Classroom or email me. Thanks.